HR Basics is a series of short courses designed to highlight what you need to know about a particular human resource management topic. In today's HR Basics, we explore pattern interviews by looking at the 5 elements that all great interviews should include. A patterned interview is a structured, behavior-based, and talent-oriented selection tool. Patterned interviews are planned and structured to ensure consistency among candidate experience and interview results. The 3 types of interview questions we cover in this presentation make up the core of the patterned interview. The following is a recommended type of patterned interviewing, of which there are many. 5 elements of this pattern interview include, first, an opening and overview, second, experience questions, third, self-evaluation questions, fourth, behavior-based questions, and fifth and finally, a closing dialogue. Let's take a look at each of these areas in a bit more detail to assist you in patterning your next round of interviews. To begin the interview, put the candidate at ease with appropriate small talk, introductions, and a general organization and job-related information overview. The patterned interview should include a welcome to put the candidate at ease. Cover any relevant information about the organization, the position, or the interview process. Greet the applicant by name, introducing yourself and other members of the process. Make appropriate small talk. Chat about non-controversial issues such as the weather or a recent sporting event. Describe the interview process and get to know the applicant. Ease into interview questions with experience-based questions. These questions confirm a candidate's credentials and achievements. A common way to open an interview is to ask a candidate to describe their education and experience, essentially discussing their professional achievements. Experience-based questions help ease the candidate into the interview and provide an overview of what the candidate has done in the past. Follow these tips for experience questions. Ask 2 or 3 experience-based questions. Discuss how formal education and experience has prepared the applicant for the position. Discuss work experience beginning with the applicant's current job and enable the applicant to describe responsibilities. So here are a few examples of experience questions. Tell me about your educational and professional experiences as they relate to this position. How much supervisory experience do you have? What special recognition have you received? What size budget do you manage? Let's take a look at the advantages and disadvantages of experience questions in the interview process. From an advantage perspective, these questions put the candidate at ease at the start of the interview, and their responses provide an overview of what the candidate has done in the past. On the disadvantage side, these questions don't give much information on how well the applicant performed a task, but we'll get to that later. Self-evaluation questions provide information on what the candidate thinks, feels, or hypothesizes about a particular topic. Let's take a look. With experience and education confirmed, talk with the applicant about how they think, feel, or hypothesize about a topic. Have the applicant self-evaluate their knowledge, ability, or skill level. These questions are great at letting you know what is important to the applicant. Here's a few tips for these self-evaluation questions. Ask 1 or 2 self-evaluation questions. Discuss the applicant's likes and dislikes about present and past jobs. Discuss and evaluate professional strengths, accomplishments, and results. Provide the applicant the opportunity to discuss their interest in the position and hypothesize outcomes if they're selected. Discuss their short and long-term goals in the position. Here are a few self-evaluation questions. What do you consider to be your strengths and weaknesses? How would you rate your effectiveness in interpersonal relationships? What do you like about your job? Or what would you do if? There are certain advantages and disadvantages to self-evaluation questions in your interviews. On the positive side, self-evaluation questions provide information about what the applicant thinks is important and insight into the applicant's own self-understanding. On the negative side, these questions invite the candidate to say what they think the interview wants to hear, and they don't really provide any evidence of what the candidate has actually done. Now moving on to behavior-based, or what some call competency-based questions, which focus on relating past job performance to probable future on-the-job behavior. Behavior-based interview questions probe for past behaviors and relevant success factors. These questions are based on information relevant to the job-related skills, abilities, and traits. But remember, past behavior is an indicator. Applicant responses reveal the likelihood of similar future performance. Be careful not to translate this statement as reading, past behavior predicts future behavior. No one can predict with absolute certainty how someone will behave on a job. Behavior-based interview questions work because past behavior is shown to be an indicator of future behavior. Behavior-based questions have advantages and disadvantages in the interview process. On the positive side, they provide clues whether the applicant does indeed have the knowledge, skills, or abilities for the job, and it helps avoid non-measurable information such as the candidate's opinions or beliefs. But behavior-based interview questions require much more preparation and knowledge on the subject matter. Hiring managers should aim to develop a good portion of their questions using the behavior-based model. To write behavior-based questions in a way that will give you the best information, write questions that are job-related, open-ended, focused on a specific event or experience, and require examples of past behavior. Remember, the best predictor of future behavior is past behavior that was recent in similar circumstances and long-standing. To craft a behavior-based interview question, use this SBO formula. It stands for situation, behavior, and outcome. Craft each of your behavior-based questions by starting with a phrase related to a specific occurrence. Then, specifically, what did the applicant say or do? How did they act? And then always look for an outcome. What was the result of the applicant's behavior? This formula helps you craft great competency-based interview questions. Behavior-based questions ask about a situation the applicant was facing. Start each question with a stem related to a specific occurrence, such as, tell me about a time when, describe for me a situation in which, think of a recent example of, tell me about an example of, or consider a time when. A behavior-based question uncovers the action of the applicant in the situation. The goal is to write a question that elicits a complete behavior-based answer. Your question should be specific and easy to understand. This prompts the applicant to respond with a detailed example. Make sure your question asks the applicant to describe their behavior in a similar situation, and make sure your question gets at what the applicant said and did. Your question should be focused on an outcome of an applicant's behavior. Behavior-based questions prompt a discussion about the results of the applicant's behavior, so make sure your question prompts the applicant to discuss the outcome of their actions. Give the applicant the opportunity to discuss the result of their behavior. So here are a few examples of behavior-based questions. When was the last time you made a difficult decision or solved a problem that had a wide-ranging impact? Tell me about a time when you were part of building a great team. What was your part? Or describe the last time you and a colleague disagreed. How did you respond? To close the interview, allow the applicant to interview you. Allow the candidate to ask questions. Asking the candidate for questions is about opening up an honest dialogue in the interview process. Doing so is also a gauge of the candidate's level of interest and engagement. Finally, this dialogue allows the candidate to ask questions to help them understand if the job's a good fit for them. Then, give a realistic job preview and reiterate what matters most about the position or organization. A realistic job preview communicates the most important aspects of the job, providing an accurate picture of the position. Close the interview by describing what will happen next in the process. Be sure the applicant leaves the room with a good understanding of what will happen next. Outline the next steps of the selection process and set expectations in regards to communication and next steps. The three core types of interview questions, experience, self-evaluation, and behavior-based, make up a patterned interview that unpacks the talents of applicants in your selection process. I define talents as the natural, recurring patterns of thought, feeling, and behavior. Talents are the things you just do. When you look at each of the three types of interview questions, each elicits elements of talent in candidate responses. Self-evaluation questions ask candidates to tell us what they think about their past experiences and experience related to the job. Self-evaluation questions ask candidates to hypothesize on how they think and feel about a particular topic. And finally, behavior-based questions ask candidates to describe past behavior in terms of thoughts, feelings, and actions in job performance. A pattern interview asks candidates to discuss how they think, feel, and behave, the very definition of talent.